Hey everyone, welcome back to Otterly AG's channel. I'm not Otterly, I'm her friend Callie, and today I'll be making some clothes for Otterly. Okay, today's video is going to be about making pattern B. For pattern B, I used a striped fabric for the top, and I've obviously already cut it out. And I didn't have enough fabric to cut it out all in one piece. So I ended up having to cut the sleeves in a separate piece. So when I was cutting it, I just had to make sure that the lines would match up at least pretty well. And for the pants, here's the back of the top. Okay, for the pants. And for the pants, I used this dark blue, which I think looks really good. And this combination I think is going to look really cool and sophisticated, kind of Parisian. I'm really happy about how it's turned out just from cutting it out. As for notions, I will need Velcro, just like all of these patterns, and elastic. And the ribbon said to use 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch. So let's get into it. So to start with, we'll make the shirt, which is very straightforward. Because I had to cut off the sleeves, I'll have to sew the sleeves on, but normally the sleeves will already be on, so it's pretty easy. This part will be the back, and then we just sew on the front like that, inside out, so that the seams will be on the inside. So let's do that. So we're going to start with the top seam on the shoulders and the arms. And then we're going to use an iron to press this seam open like this. So now you'll see that where we're going to have the sleeves will be an open panel like this. And we're going to fold it over about 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, and we're going to sew it like that. So the pattern calls for a lining, and the lining is how it finishes off this top collar part. But I don't really want to put a lining on this because I don't have a fabric that would work well. And this fabric is really thin and kind of see-through, which normally would mean that you really should have a lining, but because I don't have something that will work, I don't really want to do that. So instead of using a lining, I'm just going to very carefully fold this over all the way around. So the collar is going to look a little weird until I add some slits in it, like this. And once I iron this down, it'll look a lot better, so I'll go do that now. Now we fold it back inside out, and we sew the armpit to the base. Basically just the rest of the sides. And now we're going to press this seam out like we did for the other one. And now, because we don't have a lining, we're going to create a little tube for the ribbon. Create a little tube for the ribbon by just creating a rolled hem that's very large. Create a rolled hem by folding a small fold and then folding a larger fold, just like that. You can make this a lot easier by using an iron, which is what I'm going to go do now. And now to finish off this rolled hem, we're just going to sew very close to this fold right here. So the elastic is going to be 12.5 inches long. And I'm going to use this little doohickey to push the elastic through. We're just going to put a fold in the back here just to finish off the seam where we're going to put the elastic. Now we take the Velcro and we're going to just cut it in half. And now we're just going to sew the Velcro on. Because it's so thin, I'm just going to do one seam down the middle. And once we cut all the threads, this will be done. Okay, I've fixed the elastic, and the last step is to add little ribbon bows to the side. I'm going to have to sew it on by hand or use hot glue. I think I'm going to use hot glue because I also have to hot glue the ends of the ribbon. And I'm just going to hot glue it onto this seam. on each side. While I'm waiting for the hot glue to heat up, I'm going to color in the seam to make it not so obvious. And there we go, we finished the top. I didn't follow the directions exactly, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. It's pretty cute. Now let's move on to the pants. So now we're going to work on the pants. First step is to sew the two 7 pieces together here along what is going to be the butt. Okay, now we're going to press this edge out, like we did the shirt, using an iron. You might need to clip the seam around the edges, around the curve. And there you go. And now at the top, where the waist is going to be, we're going to fold over to create a tube for the elastic in the back. Now we're going to cut a piece of elastic that's 5 inches long. And now we're just going to sew the elastic in place so it doesn't fall out. There you go. So now we're going to do pretty much the same thing, but with the front sides. I've done this seam just like we did the number 7 on the piece number 7. And now I'm going to take piece number 9, which is the waistband, and I'm going to iron just the top seam down about 1/4 inch, a little bit more maybe. So now that I've pressed that seam down with an iron, I'm going to take the 2 8 pieces and this, and I'm going to put the right sides together, which means that this will be on top and this will be on the bottom. And I'm just going to sew them together just like that. And then I'm going to iron this seam so that this edge here goes up, and then I'm going to iron this part down. And then I'm going to sew along that seam. So let's do that. So now we're going to sew the back and the front together. Make sure that the wrong sides are together. Only on the far sides. So the next step is to take pieces 11 and 10, and I'm going to sew them together along this line. So just like this. You'll notice that on each of these patterns there's a little triangle. That means that that's the side you're supposed to sew together. Supposed to match these triangles up. And now we're going to press down those seams like we have all the other ones. So this step is not in the directions, but I really, if you could tell, I really don't like leaving just undone edges. So I'm just going to finish this edge by folding it in just the slightest bit. Okay. We take one of our pant legs and we spread it out like this. So we spread it out with the right side up, the part that's going to be outside. And we take the little piece and we're just going to sew it all the way along the edge. This is going to allow us to have a clean edge on the bottom of the pant leg without giving the pants a full lining. The small piece has to have the bad side up, like that. And then you're going to need to snip some of the curved edges and parts where there's corners and things like that. And then flip it inside out. And then you're going to iron the seam so it's nice and flat. So you can see now that we've pressed it down, it has a very nice edge. And we're going to turn it back inside out. And the last seam is going to be the inner pant leg. Make sure that the bottom of the pant leg matches up the closest, because that's the part that will be the most noticeable if it doesn't match up. Okay, here's the finished product. I think it turned out pretty cute. I really like the small ribbons because I love when things are, I don't know, tiny, mini, which is why making doll clothes is so fun. This probably needs an iron because it kind of has a weird crotch going on. Not really sure why that is. Maybe, no, I don't know. Maybe it'll probably fit right, but it just looks really weird lying flat. I have some real problems with these patterns in general, in that when they require lining, when they require lining, it's like really either unnecessary, or even when they do use the lining correctly, they don't, or when they do have the lining, they don't really do it correctly. For instance, if I were to have lining for the shirt, which I didn't do, these seams still would have been here, which is completely unnecessary. If you have lining, you should be able to hide pretty much every seam with the lining, which is the point of the lining. So considering that, I just didn't bother to have any lining. For the next one, which is the dress, I think I'm actually going to do the lining, except that I'm not going to follow any of their directions. I'm just going to completely show how I would do it, which is going to hide all of the inside seams and just be a lot more pretty and from the inside, I guess. But generally speaking, this is a pretty simple pattern. Do it again. I also made the Velcro thinner than I probably should have. It's supposed to be 1/2 inch and this is 1/4 inch, but I don't know, it's something I'm trying out. Maybe I need to go back to 1/4 inch because it seems like this is falling apart pretty easily. But yeah, I really like this color combination. I think I kind of would have liked this better if it didn't have this going on. It was just a regular shirt that maybe you could like tuck into the pants. That'd be kind of cool. Like I guess you still can tuck it into the pants, but yeah, I guess you still can. But I think that would be the coolest thing. Long story short, I really like the pants for this pattern. I think they're really cool, really chic. Really smart to only put the elastic in the back. And I think it turned out really good. As far as the top, I think it's just a regular top, but they tried to put a spin on it, which I don't know if I like or not. But I like how the top turned out. So, yeah. I would give this pattern like a 7.5 out of 10. Is fair, I think. So yeah, I hope you guys will stick around for the next video. Alright, we'll make a giant dress. See ya!